There we go. Let's get Facebook in here. We can start the show on this lovely Friday morning, the second to last day of January. So we're rocking and rolling. There's both the Facebook. Eric looks frozen, so I'm just going to assume that he's just excited about what I'm going to talk about here. Good morning, everybody. It is time for an episode of Broncos for Breakfast. I am Nick Kendall. This is Eric Trickle coming to you live every Monday and Friday morning, probably until the draft. But after that, we'll take a little time in the summer. We'll still be here, but probably not Monday and Friday. Eric, how are you? Happy Friday.
I'm doing good. Happy Friday to you and everybody in chat as well. It's a weird Friday. It's the first Friday in a while where there's no football coming up, and it's a little bit tough. Well, I shouldn't say no football. There's still the Senior Bowl, and I'm actually looking forward to it. Even though practices matter a lot more than the game, I still enjoy the game. Being able to watch the Senior Bowl and being able to watch it from a few different angles as well was nice. But even with that, I'm ready for this week to be over because when you have Shrine Bowl and the Shrine Bowl practices and Senior Bowl practice and Senior Bowl game all within a 7-day span, it's a very exhausting week.
I wish they were a little bit more spread out. I know they're kind of directly competing against each other, but I wish there was, like a week offset maybe, or happening after the Super Bowl. Like the draft, the free agency doesn't open up immediately after the Super Bowl, right? It's like February or March.
It's March.
So there is some time. I know a lot of these guys are in prep at that point, but also because of how late the college football season is going, there is only one single player from Indiana and Miami that is participating in these. And those are two programs with a lot of NFL talent. God, never would have thought I would have said that about Indiana 3-4 years ago. But I mean, just shout out to them. I'm jealous as an Iowa fan, but good for them. Good for them. We're going to talk a little bit about the Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl today, Eric, if that's okay with you. I know you've been dialed in, as is your job. Honestly, I'm just trying to goat you to compliment my Iowa Hawkeyes. And also, we're going to talk about just all the moves that are going on in Broncos country right now. New offensive coordinator coming in, Lombardi fired, Colbert fired, and cornerbacks coach whose name's escaping me. Lynch, there you go, fired as well. What's going on with OC? What does this mean for Sean Payton? And just comments from George Payton, Sean Payton, and Penner, and Bo Nix as well. But as we get into it, let's say hello to the chat. We got Mr. Killer Tofu coming in here saying good morning. Hopefully we hear that Davis Webb has been named the new OC of the Denver Broncos with play calling duty soon. I'm still a little bit, just from the outside, looking in, I'm still a little bit like, you have Sean Payton in here because of his offensive mastermindery. But this is also something you see a lot of coaches become more of the CEO. And then if things start to get off the rail, that's probably a dead man walking at whatever position coordinator they are taking play calling duties from. But you'll see them take play calling duties back. So I would be curious to see just how the language in the contract and what promises were made and everything. But I'm still pretty shocked that Payton would even consider giving up play calling duty. I know there were some issues every once in a while this last season. I thought it was more times than not, personally, Eric, execution related. Like I come back to, I know it's just one play, but that the screen pass to Marvin Mims in the AFC Championship game, that he'd be still running if Jarrett Stidham had thrown that timely and in a good position, because it was the right call at the right moment, exactly dialed up. Just, you don't think so? I mean, it was okay. I thought it was a good play. I mean, I've heard Nate Tice talk about it for like 10 minutes in the breakdown too. It's like, this is, air raid high school level stuff. You have a numbers advantage. Marvin Mims is gone. And that was, I feel pretty often this season, just the lack of execution on some of the timing and some of the blocking, specifically on the perimeter, I guess, or the running back reads as well. But we'll see what happens here. And you disagree about that Marvin Mims screen pass? I mean, Jarrett Stidham stunk at it, but I thought it was that's the numbers.
Well, which one? There was two attempts.
The one where he threw it out in front that was incomplete, and there was nobody.
Was that the 3rd and 8 one?
I believe on the right side of the.
Was that the 3rd and 8 one?
I believe so.
Yeah, on 3rd and 8, a screen call is absolutely awful.
It looked like a touchdown.
It was awful.
Okay, well, we'll agree to disagree if we're talking about the same one. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. And on that front, Eric, we do have news that Davis Webb is pulling out of the Raiders head coach search. So good for him. By all indications, it sounds like that will be Clint Kubiak. So now the question is, will the Broncos be able to retain Davis Webb as offensive coordinator? Because there have been a multitude of teams reaching out to him to interview him for OC, the Ravens amongst them, which is probably the most desirable one besides the Broncos.
Yeah, I mean, you also have the Bills, and I've said before that, offensive coordinator with play calling duties would be a promotion from without, but apparently the NFL changed that after last year because there was the Dallas Cowboys who were trying to hire somebody from the Eagles, I think, or the Eagles are trying to hire somebody from the Cowboys. The offensive coordinator from the Cowboys, Clayton Adams, and he doesn't have play calling duties there, and he was going to get him in Philadelphia, and that's not a promotion. So they changed it with coaching, but not for front office. That impacts the Falcons with their general manager hire, but I digress. So Denver can, Sean Payton doesn't have to give up play calling duties in order to keep him this year, but it is something that's definitely being discussed. It was Ian Rappaport who put out the tweet out there that Sean Payton over last weekend was having conversations with Joe Brady about joining the offensive coordinator or coming to the Broncos staff as offensive coordinator. This was before Lombardi was even fired. So it wasn't a reactionary thing to what happened in that Patriots game, because from the way it sounded like conversation started a week ago on last Friday. So, and with that was giving up play calling duties. I would expect there's something going to happen, and something needs to happen. I know you go to execution, but when the Broncos offense was doing better is actually when the play calling issues were more severe. And it wasn't, to me, it's not a matter of execution. It's attacking where defenses are weak at. That's the biggest thing with play calling. You study all week, prepare watch tape, prepare the game plan. And if you're not consistently attacking where defenses are weak at and setting them up, getting the overcorrect and then taking advantage of that, it becomes an issue. And that was a big issue with him, I would say, since around week 14, 15. So that became the biggest issue. And the Bills game, I think, is outside of maybe the first quarter and a couple drives into the second, the Bills game was absolutely egregious with the issues with the play calling. Second half of the Patriots game, I'm throwing out the window, but there was still the final couple drives of the second quarter that were also problematic. Scripts were great, but after that is when you started to see it a little bit more. So I'm glad at least he's considering it. I'm not sure with Davis Webb if he's going to give if Davis Webb is the guy, I'm not sure he's going to give full play calling up. I think we could see a situation where, maybe they go series to series, or they go quarter by quarter, or maybe it's Davis Webb is calling between the 20s, Sean Payton's in the red zone, or vice versa. I could see them working something out to give Webb that experience as a play caller without Payton giving it up full time.
Could definitely see that. And I would love, obviously, to keep Webb, but I don't think that he addresses the biggest issue for me on this offense, which was just how the run game design matched up with the pass game and concepts to get the running back going. I thought the run game was pretty stagnant this season, and there is obviously some good run designers out there, and that just didn't really feel like the case a lot this season. Now, Dobbins made a lot of guys miss, but you look at some of the statistics, the yards before contact, they'd indicate that there was much more meat on the bone. And again, I think the design is only ever as good as the execution, and we had a lot of issues with tight ends blocking. I thought all of our wide receivers, besides Pat Bryant, were pretty poor in blocking this year, even though Sutton used to be a pretty good blocker. This was not a good blocking year from him. And Atkins is a good, useful blocker. He doesn't have the length to be a Y. Denver needs a Y, man. I going back and watching some of the run game stuff when I've had some time, just how many times the guy just disposes of him immediately. I mean, you might as well just play little Jordan Humphrey on the side. I don't know. It's just they need better from the Y.
Yeah, and I mean, Atkins, as you said, he's probably the best blocking tight end for them, but he can't do that full time. That's just not what he fits. But you mentioned Sutton with his blocking, and one thing I've noticed pretty consistently over the last, 2, maybe 3 years of him, compared to, before the injury, and I don't want to use the S word here about it because I don't think it's that. But when you watch Sutton, do you think that there has definitely been a slight change with his mindset over the physicality since his injury? Because before that injury, I mean, he was really physical and even a little bit there for a while after he came back, it was. But over the last couple of years, it's a lot of going down, catching it and falling to the ground, blocking's not being there. There has to be something there mentally with him as to why he's being a little bit more
passive.
Passive. That's the way to put it.
Yep. I agree. And I was exactly getting a regular point. It's not just the blocking, it's also the yards after catch. And like, to be fair, like some of these plays he's making, like where he's being targeted, it's not always like the build up speed, open space galloping. Like he has to make something outside his frame and come down. And it's more important to secure the ball than anything else. But those yak opportunities, rack, whatever you want to call them, receiving yards after catch, they're there sometimes. And he's just pretty content's the wrong word. Almost like he's coached to just get down sometimes. So we'll see if there are any changes there. We'll see if Cortland Sutton is here next season as well. I think he's one of the top, 25 wide receivers in football. He's ideally more of a high-end 2. You can get away with him being a low-end 1 if you have like a superstar running back or tight end or have somebody just as good as him. I believe, Eric, in the like if you had 2 wide receivers the caliber of Cortland Sutton, I think you'd probably get away with that as well. But yeah, I love Cortland Sutton. Like, don't get me wrong. He's a good player, even nicer person by all accounts, but want a little bit more from him. And yeah, I think I just come back to it. The run game stuff is probably the reason Lombardi's out, some of the sequencing, and I'm hoping they bring in somebody to figure it out. Cause I mean, it was frustrating this season and we saw the potential with Dobbins, but I don't think it's all Dobbins to Harvey. I think it's obviously a big part of it, but they need to figure it out. And I was elated to hear Sean Payton specifically call out being unhappy about the run game output this season. And if you recall, Eric, his first press conference in Denver, he talked about taking Russell Wilson off the high dive, and he said 2 things. How do we do that? The high dive, better defense, better run game. I know everybody wants this pass weapon. I do too. Like when you look at the big picture, team building, a go-to passing game weapon is probably the biggest thing they could use. But from if you're looking at a team like how they're rated, like out of 5 stars, pass offense, run offense, pass defense, run defense, that run offense is the one that I'd want to elevate, put another star on it and be better next season. Because when you do that, then you can manipulate coverages, personnel, and hunt those explosives. So I was happy to hear Sean Payton talk about that.
Yeah, and I mean, with the run designs and everything like that, Sean Payton has no one but himself to blame. He's the one who decided to add a bunch to it. And I know there's a lot of people that are putting blame on Zach Strief, who's the run game coordinator, but he's not the one that's making the designs. That was Sean Payton. And I think going back to Sean Payton's play calling, I think the biggest issue with that came down to the running game, where execution was a big factor. But against New England, where they had, they're always over aggressive unit. He's having RJ Harvey, who has proven time and time again he can't be that slasher type back. And then you have Julian McLaughlin, who has shown he can, and he's using Harvey for that role, and then using McLaughlin as just a basically pure between the tackles runner. But I think there's more issues with the play calling in the running game than that. But I digress. He has no one to blame for himself, but the run game designs, I think he needs to go back over it. He added a lot to it last year. I think he needs to start taking stuff away from it. There's been some issues internally about what's being called and the types of runs that they're calling, and offensive line not necessarily being comfortable with a lot of what's being called. The blocking, obviously, at tight end, I've highlighted that a lot. Adam Troutman consistently, I think there was like maybe 2 or 3 games where he actually looked like a capable blocker out there. So that's a big issue with him. And then with Cortland Sutton, you mentioned him not being here. The time to watch for that would be next year, and March 17th would be the deadline because he has $10.1 million at guarantee on March 17th, 2027. But this year, to get rid of him either by cut or trade, it's about $10 million more than what he's going to cost against the salary cap.
I would love to bring something around him, but also I think raising the floor with an obviously better running back and a wide tight end helps the offense a heck of a lot too. And you are firing the wide receiver coaches, which to me says you like the personnel in the room somewhat, and they are underachieving as well. So we'll see. There's many avenues to get better this offseason, but what doesn't make this podcast better is leaving a $49.99 super chat here and talking as long as we have before addressing it. Troy, God bless you, Troy, says, hey guys, don't catch you often at the new time. If you haven't covered, ignore me, but how do you prioritize free agents for the Broncos? Well, first we need to see who they're letting walk themselves internally. So you have obviously John Franklin Myers. That's a big question mark. It seems by all indication, the way Denver has budgeted the roster, he's going to be gone. And you might bring in a veteran, kind of a mercenary type who's going to cost $4 million a year. But also you might be shooting to make up his play in the aggregate. Now, you're not going to completely replace him. He's a damn good player, but maybe it's something with Awazarike and his length on early down space packages with Savion Jones. You hope to take a step on just the weight training this season, the technique in the run game, so he's not a complete sieve there, and getting a little better and stronger moving inside like he has from LSU. So it's possible that's the route they go. Unfortunately, in this upcoming draft class, there aren't many obvious 3-4 defensive end body types, but I mean, there's still a chance that Vance Joseph is gone, and we're talking about a different scheme coming in here, an emphasis as well. So we'll see what happens, what they do up front. You know me, Troy, I'm always a proponent of adding defensive line talent early and often in the draft. So is it possible they bring in somebody, although it's much more 0 to 3 technique versus your 3 to 5s, but might get creative. We'll see. But just went on a tangent about defensive line. Linebacker, I think the big two that we're looking for here for Broncos specifically, retaining their own guys, is probably linebacker is the biggest question. And then it's probably just linebacker. Then you have a couple like cuts, like maybe Brandon Jones, maybe Ben Powers, just because the contract's set. I don't think they will, Eric. I'm just saying the contracts, the way they're set up, is like, well, at least you have to touch on it being a possibility. But I think both those guys are probably back. So how that sets up depends on how they feel about their internal guys on interior defensive line. But running back, tight end, and linebacker are the obvious big three, I think, to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in terms of outside free agents, I think they're going to be very aggressive adding a running back, going to be very aggressive adding a tight end. We've touched on that a lot. I think they're going to be very aggressive adding a wide receiver. And you keep saying, tight end and running back helps more than number one receiver. Well, from the sense I get,
raises the floor.
Raises the floor more, yes.
Yeah.
Which I get. I agree with you. And it's just, I think Denver's going to be very aggressive getting all three. Do they get all three? That remains to be seen. But I think they're going to be aggressive in trying to, and they touched on that in their press conference as well. Greg Penner was talking about it, and he's talking about how kind of basically saying that they got to be calculated with their aggressiveness with it. Obviously, you can't go overboard with the contracts and stuff like that, but that they're going to be aggressive in adding talent to it and going out and hunting for guys. Interior defensive line, I think this is a great year to just keep John Franklin Myers, and I've been saying that for a while. But it's a bit of, because it's just an issue. When you look at the free agent pool, there's not a lot of guys out there that really replace that, and draft, not a lot of guys that replace that. So I'll look at keeping him. 3-year deal with the way they've structured it. It's that basically you can structure it as 3 1-year options. Basically, that's what Denver did with Dre Greenlaw's deal. So it can be done. We'll still paying him a good amount and everything, but he has made it very clear though in his postseason conference, he's going to test free agency. Like, he's made that clear. He is not happy. Denver hasn't had any contract talks with him whatsoever. From some other people, what some other people have said is that he might have been willing to take a little bit less to stick around in Denver and continue to be part of this, but that's not happening now because of what can easily be taken as disrespect for it. And then I think Denver is going to try to work out a deal to keep either Justin Strnad or Alex Singleton. Justin Strnad is also another one who said in free agency he's looking for a starting job. So not keeping both of them, but I think they're going to try to keep one of them, I think.
And I honestly would be okay also letting both of them walk and go into the room to bring in a different skill set. I think the upside of Devin Lloyd would be interesting with his length and coverage ability. Second contract as well. You know how much I adore Caden Ellis. I think his if you're looking to, I mean, with how much the Broncos used a mug linebacker this season, Caden is really good as a pass rusher. And that's something this Broncos team obviously likes to use to get a little bit more, dynamic up front. But, it's the opposite of being totally dynamic, Eric, but we still love it. It's being comfy cozy at home.
Yeah, speaking of that, Broncos country, Valentine's Day is almost here. And how will you show yourself and those around you shower them with just a little extra love? Whether it's for someone special or just for you, Cozy Earth makes it easy to bring comfort and care to your everyday life. This Valentine's Day season, we are offering a BOGO pajama deal. You won't see it any other time of year.
Gotta love that buy one, get one, Eric. Guys, check out the bamboo pajama set. It's a classic Cozy Earth favorite, and it's a sleepwear upgrade that'll make you look forward to slipping into bed every night even more. Lightweight yet cozy, this soft pajama set helps you fall asleep faster and stay comfortable longer. Designed to drape beautifully and sleep cooler than cotton, it keeps your temperature just right without overheating. It makes for a great night's sleep, whether that be for your talking about staying cool, Eric, whether it be for your wife, if you're a little bit older with menopause, or your mother. Another thing to keep up with staying cool at night.
Yeah, try them out. And if you don't love them, return them hassle-free. But trust me, you won't want to. Cozy Earth offers customers a 100-night sleep trial, as well as a 10-year warranty. Because once you feel this level of comfort, you'll want it to last for a decade.
These viral pajamas are so good, they sold out during the holidays, and now they're back with an exclusive deal only available January 25th to February 8th. So we're already 5 days into it. Head to CozyEarth.com and use our code HuddleBOGO to buy one, get one free. Get these pajamas for you and someone you love. And if you get a post-purchase survey, if you do the post-purchase survey, be sure to mention you heard about Cozy Earth right here at MHH. Celebrate every day. Love with comfort that makes the little moments count. Shout out to Cozy Earth. Shout out to the chat coming in here as well. We want to say hello to our guys and gals. Dave Glassman with the heartbreak in there. Dave, it was a good season, and we are hearts that you're here. Jay Brew in the house. Let's go Broncos. Mike Thompson, our guy. Appreciate you. David Schlosser Jr., not to be confused with David Schlosser Sr. Good morning, gents of Broncos country. Leave these hardworking men alike. He left it in the wrong chat. There's no hard work here. There's just fun and games. Gatorade Gaming, good to see you. Screen passes never work. They work sometimes, but you got to be able to block on the perimeter and have a guy who can break a freaking tackle. I mean, the DT ones are some of my favorite plays ever, but DT was a horse, like a literal horse. So I don't think he really got the personnel for it all the time. Although I wish we would have seen a little bit more of the running back screen game, especially with how aggressive teams had been with the Broncos with their blitzes. Like, can you get guys past the line of scrimmage and then dump it to them? Although Denver runs them so much that a lot of times there'd be a linebacker draped all over that running back trying to leak out. So we'll see. Robert Perez in the house. Good morning, guys. Long time and probably like third or fourth time. Good to see you, Robert. I recall. Anyways, really appreciative and grateful for everything you guys do. Please keep up the great work. God bless you and yours. Same to you, Robert. Appreciate you. JS, what position do you guys prioritize in the offseason? I think without a doubt, you have to bring in a running back. And I know that I would love to bring back J.K. Dobbins. I just view budgetary wise, you made a big investment in Harvey, and Harvey's useful. He's part of the plan and he could be more of the plan. We'll see what happens, but you're going to spend big on a running back, relatively big, running backs don't actually cost, massive open market, but you're going to probably spend relatively close to top of the market, open market running back money, I would assume. And that would make it hard to bring back Dobbins just because you're already prioritizing that guy. And would it be good? If this was a unbelievable running back class, Eric, maybe there's a conversation that you're in a situation where you can be aggressive and move around and target a running back to pair with Dobbins, to pair with Harvey, but that's not the case. It's free agency. So I just can't imagine bringing back Dobbins. And wide receiver would be great. I know a lot of people want free agent wide receiver. I guess I'll ask you, do you have any belief that in my opinion, the two crown jewels of free agency at wide receiver will hit the market in George Pickens and Alec Pierce? I just can't see any way those two are able to hit the market. And if they do, you're talking about $35 million a year, I think.
For George Pickens, definitely Alec Pierce. In terms of that price, I don't see it with Alec Pierce.
30 a year then? I think he's going to get paid top 10, top 15.
I think close to 30, but not quite there.
Okay.
But I don't. George Pickens, he's not hitting a free agent mark. There's not even a discussion to have there.
Okay. I know a lot of people are having that discussion, Eric.
I don't know. They shouldn't be. Pierce, on the other hand, I've heard some conflicting things. Talking to a couple beat guys for the Colts. One of them saying that they will place a franchise tag on him. The other one saying that they don't want to place the franchise tag on him. They want a deal done, but he's not sure he wants to stick around due to quarterback issues, to just put it bluntly, that they have concerns that they have there. So I'm not sure with him. I think that in the end they'll just, cave kind of and place the franchise tag on him. Just because part of that is I trust that beat writer just a little bit more. But so I don't think either one of them does. But again, I don't think the way Denver's adding a wide receiver is through free agency anyways. I think it's going to be through a trade. And with the Dallas Cowboys basically getting ready to pay George Pickens a massive deal, the one name that keeps being thrown around, he's been thrown around for a while, and that is CeeDee Lamb. Apparently, there are a lot of issues behind the scenes there that they are just ready to just move on from CeeDee Lamb, and they're going to make him available. I'm not sure what the contract looks like there with trading for him or anything like that, even though it's a quick search for me. But not necessarily saying that he's going to be the guy. I think Denver's going to be just aggressive looking for a wide receiver, and it's going to be through a trade. But for me, the top priority in free agency is the wide tight end. Like when you look back and see how many issues were caused in the run game just because of Adam Troutman, you got to upgrade that position. And I don't think that completely fixes your run game. There is still some issue with, offensive line had their issues at times and running backs had their issues at times. But, let's see, 7 out of 10 times the issue was Adam Troutman with his blocking on the perimeter. So you got to get that fixed.
Yeah. Keith comes in here. Good to see Keith. Keith has been either it's a new picture, Keith, or you've been an upstart commenter here in the last month, but we appreciate you coming in. He says, what are the odds of bringing in Justin Jefferson? I mean, they're going to call. I would assume they're going to call on all the top guys. I'm calling Falcons on Drake London. I am calling about, who are some other, maybe the Texans with Nico Collins. I don't know where his contract's at right now, but hey, big freak athlete. I'm calling the Eagles about A.J. Brown. That's one that's there's been at least some whispers out there, Eric. The one guy that's talented that I'm not calling about is probably Tyreek Hill, because screw that guy. But other than that, I'm calling about pretty much everybody. And for me, wide receiver is so weird for the Broncos because it's like a home run derby mentality for me. Like, how much do we have breaking news? You keep freezing.
Pete Carmichael is going to the Bills. He is one of the senior aides for the offense for Denver, and he is going to be their offensive coordinator in Buffalo.
Good for him. Shout out to him. I'm kind of happy to get some new ideas in here for Broncos country. And if you recall, it's not Declan Doyle. Who was the other one? The Bills or the Lions? That
Morton.
Morton. Morton's going to somehow be involved in this staff as well. So there you have somebody built in that you didn't already have available. So I'm honestly here for some of these fresh ideas. In hindsight, Eric, and I don't know if this would have worked, but if they're willing to give play calling duties to somebody and we're looking for a little bit of innovation in the run game and different ways to distribute the ball, I'm pretty jealous timeline-wise that Mike McDaniel is already off the table, because he would have been really fun to see his implementation of because I was pretty obsessed with some of the run scheme stuff that Miami did this year. Granted, like A-Chain is maybe the most underrated running back in football, but he would have been great. But is what it is. I have to hate his guts now. Let's keep on rocking here. Mike Thompson, better chance at building a time machine and going back and drafting him. Not sure who he's talking about there, Mike. Let us know. Maybe he's talking about Alec Pierce or something. Just want to bring in everybody. We got Gatorade saying Eric is a ventriloquist. Yeah, he's really good at talking without moving his lips. JB3 Degree comes in. Says, what do you think about, and would it be funny if you brought back Javonte Williams? Eric, I don't know about the relationship there, but Javonte Williams, 2-year, $8 million. I don't know what he's looking for here, but he's such a good pass protector, and I think he would complement the Broncos well, and I was really impressed with what he did this year at Dallas. Now, granted, Dallas has a little bit more of a FU, take it at you offensive line than Denver has. I think Denver's has to involve a little bit more smoke and mirrors, just because they don't have the point of attack strength and mass that the Cowboys have built. I mean, there's an argument that Tyler Smith might be the strongest player in football, in my opinion, Eric. But yeah, it's I would not be against Javonte. It's just he's down the pecking order from your Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall, Tyler Algier, Trevor Etienne. Is that the right Etienne? I always get the two brothers confused. Is it Travis Etienne? Travis. Okay. Yeah, Travis. And then also have to talk about David Montgomery as well. The one that I know that Broncos country has been interested in that kind of scares me is Rico Dowdle, just because he fell off a cliff. He's been a little bit persnickety on socials, and also, God bless, man, he is just a freaking awful pass protector. It's like it makes me mad. Now Kenneth Walker is too, but he's like so dynamic that maybe I get over it a bit. RJ Harvey, if you're listening, I know we disparage you sometimes on here with a running game. You're a good pass catcher. You're a useful player. Get in the lab and work on pass protection. You're going to play in the league for 10 years with your skill set, because the body type and I think the mentality is there, just technique and learning the pass blocking assignments will be big. We're calling you out, RJ Harvey, not in a negative way, but pass protection, you have a pathway to 3 contracts in the league with your skill set if you can work on that, because we've seen the potential.
Yeah, he's had some big flashes this season.
Yes.
He showed a lot of growth there late in the season with it. Still some issues. Still some issues with his decision making with how he's going to protect. Sometimes you just got to go low and take out the guy's legs. Sometimes you got to get in there and actually mix it up. But yeah, if he can improve, he's going to have a long time in it. With Javonte Williams, I don't think Denver would look that way, and it's not because I think that things ended poorly, between either side. And Javonte Williams, he had some questions during press conference when he was with Dallas, where it was definitely setting him up to trash on the Broncos and the organization and everything like that. And he didn't. And he was very complimentary of his time here. And he just felt that it was that. And he made a comment like that he felt, and Denver felt, that it was just time for both sides to go their separate ways, and that he's very, very appreciative of it and all that. So I don't think he'd be an option. I wouldn't be opposed to it if it was, just because he had a great year. But again, I think the difference in the offensive lines help him on a mental level with it, because sometimes when you're a physical downhill runner and you don't have those physical downhill blockers, it can, bother you mentally a little bit, and you can just have to end up overthinking things. And I think that was part of his issue here in Denver and not so much there in Dallas. So great for him. And I'm excited to see what he is. I think ultimately he's going to be sticking in Dallas just based on what's been going around. But yeah, if he doesn't and he's an option, I wouldn't mind it. I just don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Regardless, they're going to pay a running back. They're going to pay a tight end. I think there's more bevy of options at running back than tight end, Eric. But a big key, just talking about the running backs in general and the run game being such an emphasis, I think this Broncos team is going to have to feed running backs next season. And speaking of feeding, we got to get to Goldbelly.
Yeah. Have you all heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site where you can get the most iconic famous foods from restaurants all across the United States, and it's perfect for game day, Valentine's Day, or anything else you have going on. Guys, this is a seriously amazing offer. Goldbelly will ship to you iconic Chicago deep dish pizza from Lou Malnati's, the original buffalo wings from Anchor Bar in Buffalo, Guy Fieri's unbelievable trash can nachos, real Philly cheesesteaks, or even legendary Franklin's barbecue straight from Texas to your door. And with Valentine's Day coming up, they also have great gifts like award-winning dinners from Peter Luger Steakhouse, world-famous macaroons from La Durée, which are absolutely amazing, by the way, and even the exact cake served at JFK's wedding to Jackie O.
Philly cheesecake always catches my eye, and it's always delicious. It was high-quality grub delivered to my door, and it lived up to the lofty expectations I had and the legend of the Philly cheesesteak. It was like having a culinary piece of Philadelphia shipped straight to my door, hassle-free. Sometimes you don't know what you're going to get with food delivery, quality-wise, from online food ordering sites, but Goldbelly absolutely delivers, and it tastes amazing. So whether you're looking to turn game day into an unforgettable experience with friends or want to impress a loved one with Valentine's Day coming up, go to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code MileHigh. That's goldbelly.com, MileHigh, for 20% off your first order. So shout out to them. Let's say hello to more of the chat coming in here. Appreciate everyone coming in here. Yeah, Vinny coming in. I did want to talk about this kind of drama, I guess, Eric, from the he said, Bo Nix, Sean Payton, and Vinny says he's tired about hearing about the media made drama. Dom, let's talk about the offseason. It is news, unfortunately, Vinny, so we're just going to touch on it. I think it was a misspoken from our friend Mike Kliss, who asked the question, said Sean Payton disclosed 3 surgeries on the same ankle. Not correct. Not 3 surgeries. Also, not the same ankle, I don't believe. I think it's 2 and 1. Split. You can correct me if I'm wrong there, Eric, but that was my understanding. And Bo Nix shot back a bit. I mean, it is kind of a weird dynamic. I don't know how much Sean Payton should have disclosed, especially with how cloak and dagger he is with any of that information during the season. I know he can open it up a little bit once the games are off, and like you'll see the Kay Adams interview at the combine or whatever, where he'll share a bit more information than in season. But I think that thank you for moderating the chat there, Eric. I don't know what that's about. Yeah, I would imagine that it was Bo Nix being sent out there by his agent, the predisposed ankle injury stuff, being like, whoa. We're not saying that. We're not putting that out there. So Bo has a chance to talk. Sounds like it's only going to be, while Sean Payton said 12 weeks, Bo Nix is saying 4 to 6 weeks. Now, granted, what does the training look like comparatively to being fully healed? Who knows? But it sounds like it's not going to really impact him too much this offseason. And whether or not he is predisposed, the 3 breaks is concerning, no doubt. Ask me 5 years from now when we see how it plays out, and I'll tell you. Broncos have to come up with a contract by that point, so good luck to them. But, yeah, a little bit of persnicketyness, I guess, from both parties there, Bo Nix firing back. But I think it was partially because the question that Kliss asked was incorrect. And I do not think it was a malintent, poor intent from Kliss. I just think he fumbled his words.
Yeah. One thing is there is always things going on behind the scenes that don't always go public, especially when teams are winning. But here, I think there's definitely some, what's the way to put it? Some capitalization off of, the exchange that they had that was there between Payton and the media and the Knicks and the media of making it out to be a little bit more than what it was. I think Knicks is, a little unhappy that Sean Payton disclosed some of that information, which fair, but I can't remember who it was, but somebody was sitting there talking about how he should sue Payton for violating his HIPAA laws, which it's not a violation of HIPAA laws, but that's a little bit extreme for it. I understand the frustration from Bo Nix. If there is actual legit frustration from him over, the whole situation and all that, and you don't want the rest of the NFL to know that your ankles may be a little bit, at risk. I think it was Sean Payton who also made the comment about how it's not something that we'll have to worry about for, he should be able to play like 40 games, or was that Bo Nix who made that comment? But somebody made a comment about that, and he should be able to play, 4, maybe 5 seasons before the ankle becomes an issue again. One of them did. It's just, I think there's a little bit also with Bo Nix's part. I think there's some of it is also a little bit of bitterness about, it having him getting hurt and missing the AFC Championship game. And I think he said that somebody made a comment about how if he plays that they think that they'd just be preparing for a game. So it's tough. I think it's being made out to be more than there is. And, with the 4 to 6 weeks or the, whatever the Payton timeline was, the few months that happened back in May, June, part of that also can be they're talking a little bit about different things. One of it could be about before he can start, putting weight on it and, starting to amp up things. And the other one could be, like fully go. That seems to be based off of what little bit I do know about injuries and the research I did into this. It does seem to be that could be the case. 4 to 6 weeks before he can, take the boot off and start running and start being a little bit more active. And then, May, June timeline for when he's going to be fully cleared for football stuff. So I just think it's a little bit more being made out to be more than it is.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. Carl looks a lot like Eric. Okay. Well, thanks, Gatorade Gaming. Shout out to Carl. Always love Carl coming in here and hanging out. Vinny says, build a strong line, get Linderbaum as center and move our center to left guard, cut Powers and open up some money for linebacker and wide receiver. I don't think it makes sense to move money around like that. I think if you wanted to go get Linderbaum, you would have let Wattenberg walk to begin with. And if you want to talk about build a stronger offensive line, Powers is stronger than Wattenberg. You're adding more, second level targeting ability from the offensive line. Like Wattenberg is undoubtedly a better athlete. So if you're talking about like wide zone heavy or trying to get to the second level, that I think you're gaining some from Powers there, or from obviously with Linderbaum, because he's an incredible athlete, and Wattenberg's a good athlete too. And I think that's one reason you're talking about using the wide zone or screens, because he is, in theory, pretty good at reaching that level. He's a mover, at least, and he doesn't always arrive in control. But I digress. I'm with you about, if the offensive line presents itself. I think it's much more of a draft perspective, though, on that one, and we'll see how the board falls. But like, let's say this Arizona State tackle that's killing it at the Senior Bowl. I mean, I need to go back. I didn't watch like hardly any Arizona State this year, Eric. But I mean, to be that big and to move that much, I need to see what the run game clips look like. But like, I'm intrigued. Don't get me wrong. And then also you have like some freaks like Caden Proctor. Got to figure out the headspace on that one, but 6'7", 340 and moves like that. I mean, thank you. Oh, you did it. I didn't even mean to. It does seem like that's dying. We've maybe left that in 2025. Everything's about the Penguin right now, which I'm here for. And then also there's the left tackle from Georgia who's standing out. And if you're really talking about moving on from Powers and upgrading the strength of the offensive line, you're hoping for that Penn State left guard, whose name I cannot recall, but he's probably the best run blocker in the entire class. Now, granted, a pure guard, but like, dude is a freaking unit. I don't think he makes it to 30 overall, even with the positional value stuff. I think he's going to go top 20.
So the issue with Wattenberg, he definitely has the potential to be great at the second level and on those pulls. He just cannot get off blocks for the life of him. He just gets caught on because he doesn't have enough strength to get off of them. And he's a fine center. I just think that his issues that he has with the lack of, the ability to anchor is problematic. The power issues that he has is just going to be exposed even more at guard. Powers is, he's not the best mover, but he's one of the best pulling guards in the NFL. And you lose that ability if you're moving Wattenberg over. And I'm in agreement with you. If you're going after Linderbaum, you just let Wattenberg walk. You don't sign him to that extension, which he started playing significantly better after that extension than before. But you don't do that extension if you're doing that. And as for cutting Ben Powers, there's a general rule with it. If you get for cutting players, it's typically a 75-25. You want 75% of that salary cap saved and 25% dead money at the max. It's about a 50-50 split for Ben Powers. And with how, even though that Patriots game was rough, if you watch that Patriots game and really dig into it, the issues with that game came primarily from one spot. It was Quinn Miners consistently being attacked and consistently struggling. Doesn't mean the rest of the offensive line was great. They still had their issues. But the biggest problem came from Ben Powers and even Mike McGlinchey to an extent, because they just were targeting that right side. So Ben Powers, he's a good starter. Like we give him a lot of flack, and I know a lot of people were absolutely killing him after that first game, but he bounced back and he was playing really good football before he got hurt, and it took him some time to get back, but he's played up to that same level that we saw before he got hurt since then. Is he worth that contract? Probably not. But you're not going to find somebody who can offer him, what he does for less than what he's currently being made. And if you want an upgrade for there, you're going to be spending a lot more on top of already having almost $10 million in dead cap space for Ben Powers for cutting him. Yeah. So I don't think it doesn't make sense at all to move on from Ben Powers. I think it makes sense to add in the NFL draft and work on developing a guy. Alex Palczewski has proven that he shouldn't be starting at guard at the very least. And you mentioned, a couple of guys that are probably, first, second round guys. And that Arizona tackle, I mean, all the talk is about his movement, but he has some power to him as well. He absolutely stonewalled Derek Moore, who was absolutely killing it at the Senior Bowl, borderline unblockable, and on yesterday in the final day of practice, absolutely stonewalled them using power to it and showed that off. But the guy I really like for Denver that could be had a little bit later that can also, be that developmental guy is Keelan Rutledge out of Georgia Tech.
Oh
man,
is he interior? Is he going to be interior though?
He's going to be interior. He's only been guard.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking tackle.
Yeah, he's only been guard, only been right guard specifically. And at the Senior Bowl, they had him moving around from right guard, left guard, center. So they had him moving around all three spots. There's a guy out of Texas A&M, I believe, in Besantis, who's also really caught my eye.
Is he the one there's some guy from Texas A&M that played 4 spots and has been good there and is a big time leader?
It might be him.
There's one of them that I like just because I really love the utility offensive lineman types.
Yeah.
The more hats you can wear, the better. And obviously, we got to talk about the star of the Senior Bowl and Jennings Dunker, who's probably a second round.
The star of the Senior Bowl?
Just from a personality perspective.
Okay, from the personality standpoint. Okay, yeah. Nobody else really stood out personality-wise. On the field, though.
He's been fine on the field. He's strong wrist.
He's been hit or miss.
Yeah. He's also still working back from an MCL injury, so shout out to him. And I don't know if you had a chance to watch the Tom Pelissaro and Mike Garofalo interview with them, but man, he's a dude. I'm biased because I'm an Iowa fan, but I just absolutely love the person. So shout out to Jennings Dunker. If he's there available for the Broncos in the second round, then I probably jump for him. I'm curious if I know he's maybe tried to snap the ball. Maybe Bo Stevens is a better fit because you can get him around later and might have left guard center ability rather than right guard, right tackle. But we'll see.
Bo Stevens, man.
One who I like, Eric, just because I'm so offensive tackle to me is baseline traits. You have to in order to walk through the door, you have to have a certain height, movement skills, and length threshold. And it's the Stanford guy who stands out to me. Now he's got to work on some strength, but his name is
not coming out this year. He returned.
I'm pretty sure he's in. Are you sure?
Nick.
Yeah. Did he go back? Okay. Well, if that's the case,
I'm pretty sure he returned. I remember seeing that anyways.
Okay. Well, I liked him if he was coming out. Yeah. Well, if he's returning, then scratch that. Unfortunately, not the most dominant offensive tackle class, but what is looking really good here, Eric, in our last 10 minutes of the show is the interior where Denver's going to be picking. They're going to have a chance at some interior defensive line, it looks like. And right now, I am who I am, Eric. Giant guys who are strong and fast on the interior from 5 technique into 1 technique are going to have my attention. And there have been 3 at the Senior Bowl that are those are guys that I expect to be in the Broncos range. And I think it's always smart to toss a log on the fire on the interior defensive line. You're talking about didn't have a good first day, but really good day 2, Eric and Caleb Banks from Florida. You're talking about Lee Hunter? Hunter Lee, I can never get the order right. Lee Hunter via UCF to Texas Tech. He was awesome last year. And then, of course, Jackson from Florida State, who he might be one of the most rocked up players I've ever seen. I like watching Lee Hunter's got a little bit more of baby, puffiness to him, where I don't understand how Jackson is 330 and looks like that. I was like, holy cow! First guy off the bus every game, and his strength might be unparalleled on the defensive line in this class. And would Vance Joseph use one of those guys? I know there's been some conversations about that. The last 2 off seasons, they've apparently really liked those body types. It's just those guys have come off the board earlier than the Broncos have been able to take them in Sweat and Collins. So I think they would if the opportunity presented itself, but we'll see.
Yeah, and Nicky Prongos is that Stanford tackle, and he returned. He's on the roster list for 2026, and January 17th is when he announced that he was returning.
Well, that's too bad because he is one that actually has the. When I watched him, that's what it looks like. Get him in the NFL strength for a year, but good for him because he probably would have been a round 3 guy, and he's got. I think he has the baseline tools. If he puts it together, you're talking about a top 40 pick.
Yeah. But yeah, Lee Hunter, you mentioned Bo Stevens in passing, and I kind of got a smile from it. only compliment I'll ever give an Iowa player. Man, he absolutely snatched the heck out of Lee Hunter yesterday in best on best. Beautiful rep by him. I know some people are trying to take it away from it because he was just a little bit early than the snap call was, but it didn't affect anything. Lee Hunter just was leaning a little bit. He read it and just snatched him in. It was just beautiful. Did such a good job that Lee Hunter was giving him props, but Bo Stevens stood out a little bit. But with the defensive line, Daryl Jackson, man, absolutely killed it at the Shrine Week. During practices, got called up to the Senior Bowl, and his first rep there was absolutely dominant at the Senior Bowl in one-on-ones. Stood out. I was a big fan of his going into the Shrine Week. I've done a lot on this defensive line class over early January. So I was a big fan of his, and I was like, all right, I gotta bump him up around maybe a round and a half from what I saw on tape from this, because he's going in there, and then just the constant rave reviews about how he is as a person, energetic, kind, caring, that kind of like that Malcolm Roach style, that Joker in the room, keeping things lighthearted and everything. So big fan of his. Caleb Banks, man, I think you said he didn't have a great first day. I thought that was his best day.
Okay, I thought he was a little bit sloppy on the ground too much, which is one thing
in team drills he was on the ground a little bit. He was on the ground a lot, but that was pretty. I don't want to say consistent, but on that first day in team drills, they also lined him up as like a 7 technique a couple times, and he got some immediate pressure from there. There was one rep in team drills where they lined him up even as a wide 9. And he just absolutely bulldozed the tackle in a run defense drills. So, I mean, he stood out pretty consistently. I think the first day was actually his best. More higher highs, lower lows, definitely. And the rest of it, he was just a little bit more consistent. But I think that first day, that was a day where he was going out there and he was just wanting to show everything. And then, probably tried to make it so he's a one and done kind of guy at the practices that we see so often after missing so much time this year with an injury. But he stood out. Grayson Halton out of Oklahoma, he's probably one of the biggest winners in this class, from the Senior Bowl, I think. Absolute dominant as a run defender, and he was showing up as a pass rusher. I mean, up and down the defensive line, man, it was just a great day for almost everybody. Very few guys on the defensive line didn't stand out. Derek Moore, TJ Parker off the edge. Zion Young, he had some big plays on there. There's also another Missouri defensive lineman, McClellan, I think is his name.
I think you're right. Yep.
He also had some big plays out there for him. Like, it was a great day. And then, unfortunately, switching over to offense, I know a lot of people want a tight end. It's a great tight end class, but it is definitely a pick what you want. Do you want receiving? Do you want blocking? There's maybe a handful of guys that can offer you both. One of them's at the Senior Bowl, Sam Roosh out of Stanford. He absolutely stonewalled Derek Moore on a run play on a one-on-one. Got no help from the offensive lineman. It was a miscue from the tackle who was supposed to get up there and get on that double and then peel off. And Sam Roosh is like, fine, I'll do it myself. And man, absolutely stonewalled Derek Moore and drove him like 5 yards down the field for what would have been a touchdown in a game setting.
Is it Roosh or Roush?
I honestly heard Daniel Jeremiah say one way and Charles Davis say the other, so I am not sure.
Okay, I know that he has some of the most unbelievable pedigree of any player I've ever heard of in my life. Like his sisters and all his brothers and his grandpa maybe played in the NFL or professional baseball. He's got a crazy athletic pedigree. My strategy on tight ends this year is round 3, round 4. Give me the biggest, fastest athlete that likes to block possible, and we'll get him in the lab and figure it out from there. So I know I like both the Georgia's tight ends as well. I don't really want the Joker. I'm out on the Joker, Eric. Just give me a big wide receiver if that's the case.
Then don't check out my mock draft. Comes out hopefully today.
I cannot stand. I'm not interested in the Joker anymore, and maybe Bo Nix isn't either because he's not targeting that player. But yeah, One last point I did want to get to, Eric. I just wanted you to take the floor and just ham up Iowa quarterback Mark Gronowski in the Shrine Bowl. Maybe we have a backup quarterback here. Any Shrine Bowl standouts? I know that Gronowski won Player of the Week or whatever, and he's going to get drafted. You also got from Iowa Caden Weechin, who's a pretty darn dynamic returner who's 5'9", but 200 pounds. I mean, he's if you're looking to replace Marvin Mims, he's probably the type, and he's honestly probably built more for kickoffs than Mims is as well.
Yeah, so
You have to talk about the Iowa guys. I just had to.
Gronowski, man, like what's out to him is just the willingness that he had to put his body on the line. He took a couple hits, stood in there and delivered the throws. But the biggest thing, man, it was a Dean Connors touchdown, and he went out there and he threw one heck of a block, took out two defenders. That kind of willingness and toughness, it stands out. He's gonna get drafted. It's just a matter of when. Obviously, not super early, probably maybe 5th round due to quarterback bump, but probably 6th or 7th round, most likely, which he seems to deserve. I mean, there's been absolutely, I mean, you've raved about him in our private chats. People I've reached out to have absolutely raved about him and the person that he is, and the intelligence that he brings. One thing I will say, it is always a little bit difficult for corners and safeties in, the practices to really stand out, especially on one-on-ones, because those are so favored to the receivers. But there is a guy who I'm trying to remember who it is from the Shrine game that stood out. That's a corner for that's probably 4th, 5th, 6th round kind of guy, long, physical on the outside, and he's a guy that maybe he doesn't end up starting, but you can look at to develop him for post Riley Moss. Brings a lot more physicality than Chris Abrams-Drain. It's a senior. There's a Senior Bowl guy for safety and Bud Clark. Man, he just flies around the field. Linebacker, it's tough. There's a lot of smaller, lack of length linebackers in this class, which is typically, one of those things that you're looking for in the modern linebacker. But a lot of these guys also show the smarts and the instincts. Shad Banks out of UTSA, he's one of those guys. He's only like 5'11", but the issues with his length doesn't show up as a tackler. Very physical, and in the game aspect of it, the opposing offense could not throw anywhere in the middle of the field because he was right there breaking it up. Like, he was just absolutely killing it. Running backs, Chip Trayanum out of Toledo, big physical guy, was 12th last year in all FBS running backs, not just those in the draft, was 12th in 12 plus or in 10 plus yard runs, and tied 12th in 12 plus or 15 plus yard runs. He was barely behind Jeremiah Love, the top back in both of those. He has a lot more burst. There was a run where it should have been a 2-yard loss because like 3 guys surrounded him in the game, and he ended up busting that off for a 9-yard gain. He stood out. Dom Richardson, a Tulsa running back, he literally put the West, I believe, on his back to close out that game. Speaking of versatile offensive linemen, as you were earlier talking about being able to play multiple spots, there is a UCLA kid who was at the Shrine game that played all 5 spots on the line during the game. He was in there from start to finish, played a full game, I believe he started at right guard, then he was at left tackle, left guard, center, right tackle, I think was the order that it went. DeGorgio, I think is his last name. And he had a great game. Not many offensive linemen did. It was a defensive line dominant game. Mason Rager from Wisconsin, Wesley Williams absolutely killed it all week long, turning on the game. Mason Rager had that big game, not so much in the week. So there's a lot of guys that stand out, and I have some stuff coming out talking specifically about the game, and then I have a couple articles up that talk about the practices as well that you guys need to make sure that you check out at milehighhuddle.com.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get on out of here. I know Rodney said we should sign these 2 guys. If it was college football, we could maybe entice them to join the portal and break their contracts that they don't non-contract contracts. But alas, those guys are signed for. Right, Cook did sign a contract. There was the whole holdout last season, but I think they got something done. Otherwise, yeah, I'd be about it. But it is what it is. So fun time today. We'll see what happens with the Broncos offensive coordinator spot. Right now, as it stands, Eric, if the Broncos do keep their pick at 30, if it's not offensive weapon, I'm going to be pounding the table for defensive line. What's new? But, just looking at Daniel Jeremiah's top 50, there's like 6 defensive linemen between his 25 through like 40 on his board. Falk, Woods, McDonald, Hunter, Lee Hunter, whatever it is. I'll never get that one right. Doesn't even have Jackson on there. I think Jackson probably doesn't offer the pass rush ability, but we'll see. We'll see how he tests. I'm probably even forgetting Banks as well out there. So if they stay at 30, which I don't think they will, but it looks like a good spot for that. And I don't think Daniel Jeremiah had Casey Concepcion even in his top 50.
I don't remember. I remember seeing him at like 20 something in one of the things, but it might have just been a mock draft and not his top 50. I don't remember for sure. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot. Defensive line is probably one of the strongest classes. I will say that it is. I think edge might be the strongest class this year. There's talent at the top, and the depth is absolutely insane. Defensive line is definitely carried by the nose tackles in this class. Reaching out, I haven't done my grades yet, so I reached out to somebody about it, and he was saying that they have like 24 guys that they would classify as nose tackles with draftable grades, and they typically, and he's like, we've never had more than like 12 in a year before, so it's absolutely insane. Outside of the nose tackles, the defensive line class isn't the best. Still some talent, but not the best. So that's kind of where you're looking at there with it. I know there's a few linebackers in that range as well. But that's really going to come down to what you feel about them. Anthony Hill, CJ Allen, the Texas Tech kid, he's kind of viewed in that range. There's a Cincinnati linebacker, Golday, Jacob Rodriguez is the Texas Tech one, but he's a little small. A lot of these linebackers are a little bit small. So there's definitely some options. Cornerback is another one. Like, I don't think Denver would go that way, but the run on corners is, a lot of people are saying, is going to start there in the late 20s or so, and probably run through to the 50s, because there's a lot of guys that are just kind of stacked right there right now. But this is January 30th, and the draft isn't until the end of April. We still have the combine. We still have all the visits and the pro days and all that stuff. A lot can change. We'll see how it changes, and we'll be here to talk to you guys about it as it goes on. But right now, I would love for Denver to go out and get a defensive lineman, even if it is a nose tackle with DJ Jones and Malcolm Roach signed to extensions. You can get after DJ Jones' contract next year. So I would love it. Just keep making that strength to strength, build in the trenches, build on the defensive line. That's where you win. Just look at the New England Patriots.
Yeah, I know that you teased me in the chat a little bit, and we got to get on out of here. But offensive weapon is number one, but I think a viable path forward is to continue the team building outline that this team has laid in front, because it got you to 14-3 in the AFC, and the only reason you're not sitting there in the Super Bowl is probably because Bo Nix got hurt. Because I mean, that's how bad Stidham played in that one, and that's how close the game was still. So, and
Quinn Minor's getting absolutely toasted all game long.
Yeah, what the heck was up with that? I hope he's doing okay.
By the same move.
Yeah.
Time and time again.
Right. Frustrating, no doubt. Barmore, a good player. Put the choke.
Wilton Williams got him a few times too.
Yeah. Yep. I just had to make the Barmore choking.
It just went over my head because I'm mad at Quinn Miners for this game.
Yeah, he had a bad one. I hope he's doing okay because he was dealing with that unknown illness all season. So I'm hoping that the offseason away can help him out. But we're going to get on out of here. Appreciate everyone coming in here, hanging out. Follow Eric Trickle. I'm at Nick Kendall, MHH. We're also at Mile High Huddle, Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle, and Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod, of course. And as the ticker says there underneath, like, subscribe, share. The news during the show, we didn't even get into it too much. Eric Carmichael off to the Bills. So one piece from the Broncos out, but that's also another seat that was potentially after Webb being gone. I guess the question now probably is, does he want the Baltimore one or not? And I can't imagine Baltimore, whose owner was amazing in the press conference. I don't know if you watched that. I'm obsessed with him. He was great. But I can't imagine money would be the factor to let Webb go. It would just be Minter being a defensive guy and giving him almost sole oversight of the offense versus Sean Payton, obviously still the final say in Denver. So it probably comes down to that. Right now, with the Bills one being filled, I'd probably give it 75-25, Webb says, just off vibes. Like, that's just my feeling on it. But we'll see.
Yeah, I know a lot of Broncos fans make the joke that just throw money at it. They were on, Vance Joseph, when we are talking about him getting a head coaching job, just pay him more money to stay as defensive coordinator. But people like opportunities, and they will take less money for that opportunity. I think Davis Webb definitely wants a louder voice when it comes to the offense. I think that if Sean Payton's willing to give up at least some of it, I think that'll entice him enough to stay, and not necessarily all of it, like he can get in Baltimore. It just needs to be enough to get him to stay. And from what it seems like, Sean Payton is willing to at least have those conversations. And even if it comes down to it, seems willing to have to actually follow through with it.
Hell yeah, man. Well, we'll see how it plays out. Will be exciting. Appreciate everyone coming in here. Shout out to Troy for the big time super chat and our sponsors as well. Make sure you guys check them out. We will see you again next Monday. Have a great weekend. Shout out to Michael as well. And stay out of trouble, folks. Enjoy the Senior Bowl. Go Broncos.